your alarm goes off, you snooze. It goes off again, and reluctantly you reach for your phone to turn it off. As you click stop, you notice that notifications have been piling in since you had been asleep. You lay in bed for a moment, reasoning with yourself, debating the pros and the cons of getting out of bed right that instant, and eventually you decide that maybe you have a few moments to scroll. And so you scroll, and you scroll, and then you scroll some more. And while you're doing this, you're intaking ads, media, marketing, and content that you don't even begin to recognize, all before you open your eyes. Whether it's social media, news outlets, or even the latest gossip column, media has crept in to every aspect of our lives, and now we have access to a large wealth of information, larger than ever before. Now you may be sitting here thinking, yeah, I intake a lot of media, but is it really so different to previous generations? What makes now so different than just a few decades ago? The short and blatantly obvious answer is technology, but let's look at this even deeper. In 2021, collective media consumption continues its upward trend, and in 2021, the average American adult consumes 666 minutes of media or internet a day. That is 11.1 hours. Let that sink in. That is almost half of your day being consumed by media intake. With only 1,440 minutes in a day, it is unclear exactly how much more time we are going to continue to dedicate towards media usage. But with numbers growing substantially in just the last few years, we can be certain that this is not the peak. All right, so there's more media intake now, but why is that a bad thing? Why, in fact, is that not a great thing? If people are using things like social media and access to internet to connect globally in a way that was not possible even just a few decades ago, why aren't we celebrating that? And I want to take a moment here and pause and let you know that I am in no way dissing the internet or even our access to media. I think that it's amazing that the internet has provided us with so many new opportunities. And I do not believe that the evil here or whatever is the amount of time we spend on it, but rather the ways in which the internet and media is affecting the ways in which we think and feel about ourselves and about other people. Social media and news algorithms are now smarter than ever before. They're able to document every site we've ever visited, every post we've ever liked, and anything we have ever had a strong reaction to. And this is far more invasive than you may actually think. For example, I don't know about you, but when I go on walks, or if I'm laying in my bed, sitting in my desk at school, going on drives, whatever it is I may be doing, my mind tends to wander. And when my mind tends to wander, I begin thinking. And while I wish I could say I was always having deep and introspective thoughts, a lot of the time I'm thinking about what pants to buy, what shoes to get, what food I want to try, the places that I want to go to, the books that I want to read, and the movies that I want to watch. And eventually, I'm forced to admit that I do not have access to a large wealth of information in my own head. And I pull out whatever device is closest to me, and I look it up, whether it be my phone or my computer. I look it up, scroll, find what I'm looking for, close the tab, move on with my day. But the next day, I begin seeing content that references what I'd searched up just the day before. And while this may not seem like a big deal, and individually these instances aren't a big deal, it creates a very convenient browsing history, or browsing experience. And while it is convenient, it is also dangerous, because it plays into our confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is the human tendency to believe things more when they already reinforce what we think. So basically, our personal information is being used to influence what we believe and what we think. A study by MIT News shows that fake news stories are actually 70% more likely to be retweeted than true news stories are. In fact, a lot of fake news items spread faster than some real news stories. On Twitter, it can take a real news story 6 times as long to reach 1,500 people as it takes fake stories to reach the same audience of people. And it doesn't take a genius to figure out why this may be dangerous. Take the recent example of Facebook. Facebook recently went under examination for its role in spreading false information. Our personal browsing data was used to promote inciting articles, both real and fake. And in October 2020, the Journal of Science published an article summarizing the scholarly consensus by saying that in recent years, social media companies like Facebook and Twitter have had a highly influential role in political and social discourse, as well as in highly intensifying political and social polarization. Basically, These companies are changing the way we think about issues and about others. But it doesn't stop there. It also changes the way in which we think about ourselves and the way we value ourselves. Apps like Instagram and TikTok are notorious for this, although there's a lot of other media outlets that do this as well. We are all told about the dangers of using social media. We all hear about it constantly and continue to ignore it daily. I am no stranger to this. But these apps promote content that are geared towards making us feel like we're missing out on something, that other people have access to something that we innately lack. It's overexposure to beauty filters, overly saturated feeds, and even its promotion of the rapidly changing trend cycle. It makes us feel bad about ourselves, and it's good at this, but we still go back every single day, and this is not an accident. Using it activates the brain's reward system, releasing dopamine, a feel-good chemical. It's linked to pleasurable activities like sex, food, and social interaction. It's also linked to addiction. That's why social media is so addictive. But while it is addictive, it also causes feelings of anxiety, depression, aggression, insecurity, as well as even physical ailments like eating disorders and ulcers. It changes the way in which we set expectations for ourselves, setting them so high that they are unrealistic and that we are doomed to fall short before we even try. It changes the way that we feel about ourselves, our innate self-worth as well. So media can subconsciously alter the way in which we think about others and ourselves. But here is the root cause of the underlying issue, or the real reason that our modern intake of media is so bad. We are desensitized to things that should affect us, and we are increasingly unable to tell what's real from what's fake. We hear 50 good things and 50 bad ones in the span of a day. We are constantly overwhelmed by too much, too many choices instead of too few. We as a species look for patterns, especially in times of chaos. We look for patterns that reinforce what we already believe to be true. And media utilizes this as a superpower of sorts. It intensifies our negative emotions or our uninformed theories. I, like so many people that I know, have been left feeling insecure by social media, and instead of, doing the healthy thing like taking time off, I continue to go back every single day because I have a fear of missing out. I go back and I leave feeling more insecure than I was before because all I see is other people who seemingly have perfect lives. Let's look at this in a political lens. Let's say you're starting to believe in the flat earth theory, and you go on Reddit, and there's some guy who wrote some post in his parents' basement, and he's corroborating this point that says, yeah, the earth is flat. Now, ordinarily, you wouldn't be persuaded by this man. If you saw him on the street, you would probably turn and run the other direction. But because he's right in front of you, or his post is right in front of you, and it's been promoted to you, and this is what you already started to believe, you think, well, yeah, the earth is flat. This is just proof. And it works in this way because our brains pay attention to stimuli, but they dwell on negative emotion. They dwell, again, on anger, oppression, rage, aggression, or anything that makes us feel bad. We can test those emotions. We think about them more. They stay in our mind. But when the information we see agrees with us, it's easy for us to swallow it, to retain it, to accept it, and to believe it. But we do not have unlimited room in our brains to dedicate to media, and we do not have unlimited time to discern truth from fiction. By buying into every aspect of the media, we are collectively making our minds weaker and more vulnerable. We are not learning how to properly filter useful and useless information. We are not learning how to distinguish reality from fiction, and we are not learning how to protect ourselves from the fallout. The issues we're facing are significantly different from those of previous generations. Our rampant access to media is so new and constantly evolving that nobody has taken the time to make a playbook yet. But the change has to start with us, or future generations will only feel a harsher impact. Now, I'm not saying to stop using the internet. Like I said before, I love the internet. I'm not even telling you to reduce your screen time. I've tried this, and I know just how impossible it can be, because I, like so many of you, am addicted to media. Overcoming the addiction to media is not easy. And honestly, I don't even believe that it's the end goal at all. The end goal is to make sure that we do not let media alter the way we think about ourselves and about others. Pick issues that are close to your heart and educate yourself on sites where you're less likely to encounter information or confirmation bias. Pick things that you are passionate about, that you truly feel for. The next time you scroll through your feed, make a conscious effort to remember what is real and what is fake, whether it's the news a person promotes or a post promotes, or the way that a person projects themselves online. The next thing we need to do is to take a few seconds a day to wonder what impact media has made on our days so far. Whether it's the information that you've taken in that may not necessarily be exactly true, or the insecurities that you have that have deepened that may not exactly be warranted. Even knowing that media is fake and knowing exactly how much media affects your life can keep you from being persuaded by it. Once you become aware of exactly how much it affects you, your opinions, your life, and every facet of the way you think, you will be less persuaded by it. Life will consist of less distraction, less stress, and more time to focus on what really matters, yourself and your mental health. Thank you.